Hey everyone, welcome back to the OG Spice Guy Show, where we dig into the real stories behind the world's boldest flavors, from the fields where they're grown to the businesses that bring them to your table. If you're passionate about food, family, and building something that lasts, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Jonathan Raju. This episode is all about food safety. In the last decade, multiple recalls have been tied to contaminated spices. One bad batch can trigger nationwide recalls, damage a brand's reputation overnight, and put consumers at risk. The difference between suppliers often comes down to one thing. Do they have validated science behind their ready-to-eat claims? Today, I'm going to break down the real meaning of RTE, the science of a true 5-log validation, and why simply saying steam treated doesn't cut it. If you're a buyer or on a QA team, this is the episode that gives you the questions and tools to separate marketing from microbiology and to protect your brand and your customers. Let's get into it. So this episode's a little bit different because we're not focusing on a particular spice.
This is the ready-to-eat episode.
Correct. RTE.
I have to admit I had a different interpretation maybe of what ready-to-eat
You came and you were like, I'm ready to eat.
Hell yeah. But let me say how we can turn a negative into a positive.
Absolutely.
All right? Here's how I'm going to do it.
All right, tell me.
You and I are going to Salt Lake on October 15th.
Yep.
So that's a little under 2 months,
Yeah.
7 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going on a diet. So I am ready to eat nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
Okay.
And let's see. I'm challenging myself. See what I can lose in 6-7 weeks.
Okay.
Could be significant.
Yeah, a little intermittent fasting.
Little intermittent fasting, little walking, maybe a little gymming.
Okay. Lifting.
Yeah, a
Lifting,
little bit.
Even body weight. Push-ups.
I lift my body weight every day off the bed, and but yeah. So I'm just saying I've been a little ready to eat the last 6 months, and I am ready to not eat.
Not eat. All right.
So okay, we can talk about all the spice.
Yeah.
Ready to eat.
Yeah.
Definitions
so
now.
In support of your not ready to eat, we won't be doing food.
That's the bonus for today. Although I'm not going to count today. I need to go home and consume some.
Well, of course.
Bad foods before I go for it. But anyway, you're an inspiration to me, John.
Thank you.
What would I do without you?
Thank you. So I heard a quote that I think is appropriate for today's episode.
All right.
Sometimes the worst day becomes the reason for your best future.
Yeah.
And I think that applies in a lot of our lives, personally, professionally. I know it certainly hits me personally. There's a lot of stuff where when it happened, I was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. And then I look back 6 months, a year, sometimes it's 10 years later and say, oh.
Best thing ever.
Yeah, best thing that ever happened to me.
It's great. I agree. I need some of those sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going, glad that happened.
In the moment, I wasn't.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like if we can get to that place where you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I ran into the wall.
Yeah.
Glad that happened because I'm sure I'm going to learn something.
Yeah. Obviously, with regards to this episode, I'll set the stage. It was October 2020. We were, knee deep into the pandemic. And I was here in Los Angeles, operating out of our office here in this very room.
Yep.
And I get a call from our quality team saying we have a lot of parsley that we had shipped far and wide. And I mean, we shipped this to a lot of customers. And one of our customers had double tested it and found salmonella.
Can't do that.
Can't do that. And we had no issue but to issue what's called a voluntary recall. So we had to contact the FDA. I stood in this room and I called every single customer that we had shipped that to. And I said, here's what happened. And so do you have control of the material? I need to recall it back. That's literally what a recall is you try to find every pound and you do a mass balance and say, we shipped out 10,000 pounds. I got to try to retrieve 10,000 pounds so we can have control of it.
Got it. Jeez.
So that launched us into a very long and arduous process to make HQO ready to eat. And today, High Quality Organics is the first 100% organic spice company that is 100% ready to eat.
Breakthroughs out of breakdowns.
That's good.
Right?
I like it.
So you went on a journey from that day until today.
Yeah. So I wanted to dedicate an entire episode of the podcast to talk about what is ready to eat. This term is now becoming more prevalent in the food industry, specifically spices, specifically organics. You know, HQO has done a lot of work with our process authority, a lot of work with the FDA, customers and suppliers to really be able to provide ready to eat without sacrificing the color, the quality, the integrity of the material.
Yeah.
As my father says, at the end of the surgery, right, when the doctor says, hey, the surgery was very successful, unfortunately, the patient died. You know, so, you know, with the correlation being, hey, you can blast the heck out of these spices and make them ready to eat. Unfortunately, you've destroyed all the organoleptic properties. So
when conventional spice people, they blast it with gas or with radiation, they get rid of that stuff. Exactly. But the whole point is you have to,
So ready to eat has been something that has existed for a very long time in the conventional space. And largely what the conventional industry uses is radiation or gas. And so the radiation will, blast the heck out of any of the products. Again, we'll keep it specific to spices. But the problem is that the spices have radiation residue on them.
Yeah.
And a matter of fact, just yesterday, I was talking with our controller, and he was saying, hey, did you see Walmart is recalling shrimp for radiation? So most likely, after they irradiated it, it had too high levels.
Got it.
And they sent it out into commerce, and now they have to pull it back. So the other thing is gas. Ethylene oxide gas, ETO, is commonly used. It's now banned, especially in places like California. So it's used less and less, but it still exists. And the same problem is these are radiation and the ETO gas are very effective at killing things. So in this case, it's pathogens, right? E. coli and salmonella. The problem is the residual is still in the food, and you're consuming that.
Yeah,
so
gross.
It's effective of killing things, So in the organic industry, the treatment modality that we are able to use is steam. Steam is one of the most effective kill steps that are available in the treatment of organic herbs and spices. And of course, the nice thing about steam is it's water.
Yeah, nothing to it.
Nothing to it. So you can eat steam, the residuals of steam all day long, and you're all good. So steam really provides such a valuable benefit of ready to eat without the harmful residues.
Yeah.
So after the recall, the FDA came to our facility in Reno several times. Towards the end of last year, so about a year ago at this time, HQO was issued a very serious warning letter.
Okay.
This in the industry we refer to as a 483. It's not good.
So when the FDA comes, let's go back for a second.
Yeah.
This is what the non-spice person is curious about. Mm-hmm. They show up. It's like two of them. It's like a movie where they're like, "Hi, I'm Inspector Smith, and this is Inspector Jones."
It is, and they're dressed. They have their government uniform on. They've come to our facility several times.
Yeah,
I remember on some of the occasions it was more than just two. It was like six, they're in almost like fatigues.
Really?
Yeah, not the camo print. These were like dark blue.
Yeah, but still,
they have
like
their
a uniform.
badge.
It's a uniform and a badge and
FDA food inspector.
Interesting.
They refer to themselves as, "Hi, I'm Officer Smith." They show their credentials. I have to go. If I'm there or my father was there.
Yeah, you're touring them around.
Yeah, show our IDs. This is who we are. We have to identify ourselves. Everything's like on an official record.
Wow.
It's nerve-wracking.
Do they have a photographer with them?
They do not.
Okay.
They do not. So.
Dogs?
No dogs.
Okay.
No dogs. Yeah, thankfully.
It's okay. Keep going. It was a terrible day.
So they've come to our facility several times.
Got it.
They're wanting to inspect and make sure that we're doing what we said we were going to do. So in response to that recall, we said, hey, moving forward, everything that HQO sells is going to be ready to eat. So they want to verify all our records, all our production, making sure that it is in fact ready to eat.
Got it.
But they weren't completely happy with a lot of the work that we've done with the Ready to Eat program. And so as kind of a shot across the bow, this warning letter was issued. And it was specifically targeted at our groupings and at our validation studies. So last year we had to go back to work. Subsequently, we've had a lot of customers who have read this letter and they said, hey, this thing's pretty harshly worded. Do you think you're being targeted? We said, I don't think we're being targeted. I think that because HQO is the largest organic spice supplier, they feel that, hey, if we can get these guys to fall in line, they're going to set the precedent for the rest of the industry, organic spices, that is, to fall in line and say, well, okay, HQO did it. Here's the spoiler alert. We did do it.
They were right.
They were right. And about a month and a half ago, we were officially cleared from the FDA, full clearance of the 483. So they were very pleased with the work that we've done. So during this episode, I'll go through all the details of how we came there, but that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Or the beginning. Oh, there you go. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Okay. I don't know. I was around the day you got the letter. I remember that. And so, it was a tough day. And you're like, whoa, what do you do to combat this? Well, you go day by day. And
I kind of was wallowing in my sorrow for a couple of hours. And then I remember the quote of, never let a crisis go to waste. And so he said, okay, we're going to own this. We're going to own, most importantly, the communication behind it. And so, I was on every call with our process authority, every call with our quality team. And it's really made me a subject matter expert. I know a lot on this, which is why I say, hey, let's shoot a podcast on it.
Smart. Teach us.
Absolutely. So when you hear RTE or ready to eat, it simply means that the food that the consumers will eat, they're going to eat it as is. So right out of the box, right out of the packaging without cooking it. So as some examples, think of avocado toast, and you're going to sprinkle some spice seasoning on it. One of the most popular ones is like an umami seasoning, or a everything but the bagel seasoning. So, sesame seeds, poppy seeds, things like that, right on the avocado toast. Think hummus, think dips, salad kits, ready to drink soups. So there's no cooking step that happens after the spice hits the food. No kill step is what we call it in the industry. So it has to be safe, right? It's not going to be further cooked.
Got it.
So here's the thing. Why do you focus on spices, right? Why is the FDA so focused on spices? Because spices is one of actually the most riskiest food categories for pathogens. I think people often think of like the obvious ones like dairy,
meat, chicken,
poultry. But spices definitely are right up there. And it's because spices are agricultural. Many spices are sun-dried and handled in open environments. And so although they're dehydrated and have low moisture, it doesn't mean that salmonella can't grow on the spices. So just because they're dehydrated, and salmonella typically doesn't thrive in a dry environment, it doesn't mean that it can't be there in a residual amount and can last for months, or in some cases even years. So that's the concern, that with salmonella, it can be there dormant. And when maybe that right time, temperature, moisture, humidity happens, boom, it kicks alive. And now you have, a dangerous food product.
Got it.
So that's why a negative certificate of analysis or a negative test result doesn't prove safety. It just means that the sample tested didn't show a contamination at the time of testing. The real protection is in the process of validation. Validation is proving that your kill step actually works. So we're going to play a game. You're a buyer.
Okay, great. Love it.
All right.
I'm a buyer.
True or false? Steam treated is an industry standard, and it means the same thing no matter who does it.
I'm going to say false.
You're correct. False. Without validation, the results vary and survival of pathogens is still possible.
Okay.
Validation. All right. Number 2, a clean C of A means that the lot is safe.
Yes, true.
False.
Oh.
Because testing alone can miss the contamination. So think of a lot. It's not uncommon in the food industry, especially, where we're dealing with mass volume, hundreds of thousands of pounds. I'm testing a 10,000 pound lot, right, and I'm pulling a half-pound sample. It just means that particular sample was cleared.
So that's what they're doing. They're doing a little biopsy of the whole thing.
Good way to put it.
Right? Going in, boom, pulling it.
Yeah.
Nope, it's clean.
Yeah.
Send it out to 1,000 different customers.
Oh, yeah. So process validation is the safeguard.
Okay.
Last one. Once you know a product has been treated effectively, then it's always safe.
Well, I'm going to say false.
False.
Okay.
You're a quick learn.
Yes.
RTE zoning and monitoring are essential to prevent recontamination. All right. So let's say a company's doing the right thing and they're going through and they're validating and steaming material and everything's good. You also have the environment, the physical environment of the manufacturing facility that has to be considered. So ready-to-eat zoning, right? So at some point in your facility, you're going to have non-ready-to-eat product and then ready-to-eat product. You need to make sure that those don't get cross-contaminated,
yep,
right? You're going to have equipment that's going to process potentially non-ready-to-eat. So at HQO, what we have done is 100% of our facility is ready-to-eat, meaning non-ready-to-eat spices do not come into our building. So they can get shipped in from different countries, different suppliers. We immediately send them to our steam sterilization facility,
yep,
where they are processed and now are ready to eat, brought into our facility. Additionally, we do daily environmental sampling. So it's a little swab, right? And we literally go around our facility in different food contact zones, is what we call them, and test every single day to make sure that our equipment is not contaminated.
Very cool.
This is one of the things that the FDA was intently focused on when they came to our facility. Every time they came, over the last 5 years, they visited us, I think, 5 different times, so about once a year. They have come to our facility, and they do what my QA manager calls a swabathon. The last swabathon, they took 1,500 swabs. I'm not making this up, Rob. They were crawling on the floor, going underneath our equipment and swabbing the inner surface of these crevices on the bottom of a table, a wheel that's on our equipment. They're swabbing the inside of the wheel, trying to find any evidence of salmonella.
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's like a movie. It really feels like a movie. They're just going around. Are they literal swabs?
Literal swabs.
Yeah.
Like you remember during COVID, the swabs that you put up your nose?
Sure.
Same thing.
Yeah. And then they're just bagging it and tagging it and bagging it.
And coolers. So I remember sitting in the office. I'm at HQO. And these are all unannounced, by the way. They just show up and take over your facility.
Wow.
And I look out the window and walking towards us is 6 FDA inspectors with coolers, like coolers that you would take to the beach.
Like in a Reservoir Dogs kind of shot.
Exactly. Right? There's an enter slow-mo and, the music in the background. Dun-dun-dun. And they're walking in. And in those coolers are their swabs because they have to be temperature controlled and the whole thing.
Got it.
And over the next week, they're just going swabbing our entire. So 1,500 swabs they took.
How many swabs had badness on it?
Badness, 0.
Oh, this last one.
This last one. Every single one. They started with 500 and they increased.
Wow.
Every time they came
they
in the
couldn't
last
find
5
anything.
years, 0.
Okay. Well,
So what that shows is our cleaning process, our zoning, our efficacy in sterilization, the systems are working.
Yeah, dude. You said validation earlier. It's all about validation. So
Yep.
what does that mean?
So there's a lot of terms. So I'll give you a sense of some of the conversation that buyers should be having with their suppliers. Okay. I think oftentimes buyers can be too easily convinced of safety if they really don't know what they're talking about. So here are the 3 terms that you really need to focus on. The first term is validation. This is proving scientifically that your process can kill the pathogens. The second term is monitoring. This means that you're checking every single batch, the time, the temperature, the pressure, the belt speed, the humidity. And the last one is verification. So here is where you are making sure that the whole system is still working. This is done through calibrations, audits, and of course, record keeping. So to put it simply, validation is the recipe science. Monitoring is making sure that you're following the recipe every day. And verification is double checking that this whole process is in fact working. So the other really, really important term in this is 5-log validation.
Okay, and what does that mean?
So 5-log is a reduction, means cutting down the pathogen population by 100,000.
Okay.
So I'm sure if you think way back to your college, math class, way back, you have logarithmic scale, right? So you have like 10 to the power of 5.
Yeah.
That 5 represents 5 zeros. So when you have a 5-log reduction, you are cutting the population by 100,000. Why 100,000? Because think about it, 100,000. There's 5 zeros in 100,000. So that means that if you have a sample or something that has 100,000 salmonella cells, after an effective 5-log kill step, you will reduce it down to 1.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another way that it's described kind of anecdotally, I heard this one. It kind of forms a nice picture in your head. Is you are logarithmic, right? Something can logarithmically scale up. In this case, we're logarithmically scaling down.
Yep.
Take a shredder. You put a piece of paper in. You get those long strips. Then you grab them. You turn it 90 degrees. You send it through the shredder again. Now you have a bunch of tiny little squares, right? You've now shredded it twice.
Yep.
Again, and again, 5 times, right? 10 to the power of 5.
Okay.
So what's left afterwards are really, really, really tiny little pieces of paper. So that's another kind of silly way.
Visual.
Yeah, to think of it. 10 to the power of 5 log reduction. So this is why regulators in the industry use it as a benchmark. It's a measurable, science-backed way to demonstrate safety. You start with product groupings. Okay. So as you know, HQO has, over 300 different part codes, 300 different items that we sell. Take a wild guess. I'm curious what you're going to say here. Take a wild guess. How much does it cost to actually perform a product validation study?
$10,000.
You're close, actually. Yeah. Surprisingly close. Anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000.
Oh, 2 to 3 times that though.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you were going to say like $500.
Right. But still, like so 20 to 30 grand to do a validation.
Correct.
Of one of the 300 products.
Correct.
Okay.
So obviously it would be cost prohibitive to do a validation study at 20 to 30K for 300 items.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody has that kind of money. And if you do, you're not selling spices. What we do is groupings. Okay? How do you think we group spices?
Well, type, like I would say basil is in there with spinach or something like that.
Yeah, you're close. You're close. So you're saying like all the herbs together, all the seeds together, maybe all like your rhizomes.
Berries are different. I don't know. So by type.
You're close. We'll look at a number of factors, right? And this is where the process authority, so this is the subject matter expert that we would hire. Think of them as a very scientific company. Mm-hmm. And they are going to look at particle size, whether it's whole or cracked or ground. They're also going to consider other factors like oil content, bulk density, load depth. All of these are contributing to, remember, this is a steam process. What makes the steam effective is its ability to penetrate into the spice at a cellular level and kill potentially any pathogens.
Okay.
So the process authority will scientifically determine, okay, these products have similar groupings. And so at HQO, we have 4 groupings.
All right.
Which means we had to do 4 validation studies.
Got it.
So we're spending over $120,000 just on the validation studies.
Yeah.
So we have groups. Then within each group, you perform the validation study and you do it on one product.
All right.
Take a wild guess. What is that one product that you do it on?
Parsley.
You do it on the worst case scenario for each group. Said differently, you do it on the item that will have the most
susceptibility to it.
Opposite.
Oh.
That will have the most inhibition for penetration of steam.
Okay.
So the one that will resist the steam the most. Because if you can prove on your worst case scenario that your steam was effective,
then it counts for the rest.
Then it accounts for everybody
Totally
else.
Get it. Yep.
All right. So you with me?
We were on the same page. Yes.
Wonderful. So here's the actual process of performing the validation. So we've grouped the products. We have identified the worst case scenario, right? And again, HQO is not doing this. This is a third party that is doing this. Part of the reason why it costs so much.
Yeah.
So now you have to hire a lab. So there's many accredited third-party labs around the world. In our industry, you're going to have labs like SGS or Silica. These are big, big names. They will literally have somebody come to, where your steam facility is located. So there's part of the cost. And they will physically take product of the worst case scenario. So let's use your example and say it's parsley. So they will intentionally inoculate the product with the salmonella surrogate.
What's a surrogate?
So a surrogate is an actual like a bacteria that will act and behave, and more importantly, have the resistance, just like the actual pathogen. So in this case, salmonella. Why? Because you don't want to handle real salmonella.
Okay.
Right? Because you don't want to have like an outbreak on your hands.
Yeah.
So you use a surrogate. So they inoculate it. They test it. They say, yup, this parsley is in fact positive for salmonella. Great. So then they are going to treat a full load of salmonella, and that load size is going to depend on the steam, whatever steam technology you have, whether it be a chamber, an inline, et cetera.
Yeah, how big is this chamber?
So
on
average, your commercial chambers can treat several thousand pounds at a time. So you load your basil in there. It's positive with salmonella surrogate, and you steam it at a prescribed time and temperature.
Okay.
Now that prescribed time and temperature is a little bit of, proprietary information, right? People want to kind of keep that based on that chamber, based on, the relative humidity and the altitude of where that chamber is located. It all goes into it. It all has effect. It's treated. The material is taken out of the chamber, cooled down, and then it is tested again by that laboratory. So a sterile sample is taken, tested, and it should be negative for salmonella. And that is pretty much your validation study. That is saying at this time and temperature, this worst case product is effective. Therefore, if you treat everything within this grouping at this time and temperature, I'll just throw out one of them, is 100 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes, these products will be considered validated, steam sterilized, and ready to eat.
How did HQO get where you are today as far as what's next for you guys?
At the end of the validation study, so you perform, so in HQO's case, you have the 4 validation studies for each one of your groupings, and we have all of our products falling into each of those groupings. For every product that we send out, right, we have a certificate of analysis. We also have a steam treatment certificate, meaning we can prove that this product, so let's go back to your basil example. Mm-hmm. The validation says that basil must be steam treated at 100 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. Then after we do that, we have a certificate of treatment that says this particular lot of basil was treated at least at 100 degrees for 5 minutes. So we might get the steam certificate and it says, for this batch, we actually ran it at, 101. Mm-hmm. Because, you can't get it perfect. But it will at least be 100 and it will be at least for 5 minutes. So we can prove for every single product that it is validated. We can prove the group that it's sitting in, and we can prove that the time and temperature at which it was treated at.
Love it.
I would like to go through, I kind of wrote down 10 different questions that I think I want to be able to provide for buyers, right, or any supplier. So here are 10 questions that you should ask any supplier about their RTE.
Okay,
spices.
sounds good. I'm ready.
Right. Question number 1. which product group is my SKU in, and what is the worst case for that group? So in our example, we were using basil as the worst case, but in that same group, it might be, I'm actually trying to buy parsley.
Right.
So I say, hey, what's your worst case? What group is my parsley in? Oh, it's in, this group. It has all these spices. Great. What is the worst case? Oh, the worst case for this particular group was basil. So again, really proving that, yes, we did the work. Yes, we have the validation.
Yeah.
Second question, what surrogate organism did you use? Because there's lots of different surrogates that you can use. So again, it's not really that you're critiquing which organism they use. You're just trying to make sure that they in fact did the validation study.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Was validation done on commercial equipment and at full load? Because some could do validation on a much smaller scale.
Right.
And maybe not at full capacity. It's cheaper, right? People are always finding ways to do things cheaper. But it doesn't mean that it was effective or transferable. You have to do it on the actual piece of equipment at full scale.
That makes sense.
What are the critical limits? Show me the batch record. So can you actually present the data that you use to treat this particular batch or lot?
Yep.
How many replicate runs were done? So you were asking how much can it hold at a time, 10,000 pounds. Well, what if you buy it from origin, usually you're bringing in 25, 50,000 pounds at a time. So, okay, we replicated this process 5 different times to get through everything. Here's another really important one. How do you monitor and verify the process? So if I said, can you show me what your temperature probes were through this particular steam sterilization? Can I provide you with that data?
Can you?
Oh, of course we can.
So it's like recording it the whole time?
Yeah.
And saying this was,
Yeah, actual temperature mapping. So you can see a graph and say, okay, for 5 minutes, this is the dwell time, meaning how long it took to come up to temperature.
Yeah.
And then we actually started running the product for those 5 minutes.
Got it.
And then a cool down period. Another really important question is, what would trigger revalidation? Just because you validate this equipment on your worst case doesn't mean like you're good forever.
Right.
Things change, right? That piece of equipment is going to change over time, just like your car. It's going to become less efficient over time. So you need to do your temperature mapping. You need to make sure that it's still hitting the same parameters as when you first did your validation.
Yeah.
How do you prevent post-lethality contamination? So this is back to my earlier point of, in some instances, you can have a facility that will have non-RTE and RTE. So, okay, that's great. You've done everything right. You've treated the material. Now it's ready to eat. But how do you make sure it doesn't get cross-contaminated?
Yeah.
So you want to understand what's the environmental monitoring program. Do you guys have commingled lots, etc.? What is your hold and release policy? So you want to make sure after you steam it, you have to grab samples and then send it out. So you want to look for a positive release program, meaning after we get the samples, we do a composite from the whole lot. We send it to an accredited third-party lab. And then once we receive confirmation from the lab that is in fact pathogen negative, then and only then do we release the material.
All right.
How do you protect quality, flavor, color, aroma during treatment? Because as my dad would say, hey, it's great. You can have a successful surgery, but if the patient dies, what's the point? So if you obliterate that basil and it looks burnt and no aroma, no quality,
nobody's going to want it anyway.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Here's the bottom line. Food safety is brand safety. A supplier who only says steam treated is asking you to take their word for it. And at HQO, we do not ask for blind trust. We show the science. We prove a validated 5-log reduction on worst case products, and we can back it up with monitoring, verification, and RTE protections. So before you sign your next contract, maybe you demand the validation summary and the grouping matrix. If your supplier can't produce them, I don't think they're ready to protect your business. At HQO, we deliver safety and flavor without compromise. So thanks for joining me on this episode of the OG Spice Guy Show, where passion, science, and entrepreneurship meet to change the way the world thinks about spices. We'll see you next time.
The OG Spice Guy Show is recorded and produced by Hey Babe Media in South Pasadena, California, in association with HQ Organics, America's leading provider of organic spices. Today's episode was produced by Rob Clyde, associate producer Max Flora. It was engineered and edited by Drew Unser. The assistant editor is Andrew Weinstock, set design by Shen Heckel, web and SEO by Rebecca McDonald, and graphics by Michelle Esteva. Social media services are provided by Noelle Mercer and Sophia Sherman of Soel Social. You can DM and follow us on all platforms and socials at OG Spice Guy.
Should I do that one again? Or you go to the pet food store and you buy that huge dog of bag food. That's the size we're talking about.
The huge dog of bag food, you said.
Did I
That's
say that?
awesome.
Yeah.
And I was about to say, I have never gotten a 50-pound bag of rice in my life.
Really? Well, you're not married to an Asian.
Well, that's right.
That's why.
That's why.